And you are listening to Pacific Street Blues here on 89.7 The River. Rick Galusha with you this Sunday morning and every Sunday morning. And with me on the telephone is a very special guest, a gentleman that I got to meet while I was down in Memphis, Tennessee. With us on the telephone this morning is Hal Lansky from the famous Lasky Brothers Clothing Store in Memphis, Tennessee. Hal, are you there?
Yeah, Rick, good morning to you. It was a pleasure to meet you while you and your gang were in Memphis, Tennessee. Y'all were partying like rock stars here.
We gave it our best shot, but I don't think so. But and I got you introduced me to Bobby Whitlock, which we got to get to that later on in our interview today. Of course, I forgot all about bringing up that. That was such a great show.
It was awesome, really intimate. It was done down the street where I'm talking to you from now. It was in this guy's man cave. He had a large man cave that he could host 200 or 300 people for a little concert, but it was really, really intimate. So it was a beautiful evening.
Yeah. So kind of what brings our interview around is that, of course, Lasky Brothers is associated with Elvis Presley and the entire lineage of rock music. And so you guys, not you, but I assume your father and others have been selling clothes to pop music stars for, 50, 60 years?
Well, this is Rick. This is our 71st year in business. I'm the second generation. We do have my daughter Julie, third generation in the business now. So we've been doing this since 1946. I tell a lot of people I'm glad that my dad was born before I was, so I'd have something to do because I really wasn't too enthusiastic about going to school and studying.
Yeah. So Lasky Brothers, as I understand it, because there's a marker on Beale Street. Was at the intersection of 2nd and Beale?
2nd and Beale, my dad's first store was on Beale Street. They opened up in 1946, and his father, my dad's father, he and his brother opened up a store at 126 Beale. And the only reason they got it is they found out that after they got it, the man that ran the store was murdered in the store. So I guess nobody wanted the space, so they got it. And of course, when they walked in that store, it was full of ladies' thrift clothing, ladies' resale. And of course, my dad was a very, very colorful guy. He saw this stuff and he said, "Oh my God, this blank isn't me." So he threw all that stuff on the street, and there's a lot of traffic on Beale Street, and in the 40s and 50s, it still is. And within a matter of 3 or 4 hours, all that stuff was just disappeared because everybody would pick it up. But yeah, they started on famous Beale Street, and Beale Street is known throughout the world. It's where W.C. Handy wrote the Memphis Blues, St. Louis Blues, also,
which is the first blues song ever written down and given to the Library of Congress.
Okay, thank you for that tidbit. Okay,
but
anyway, so my dad, Beale Street was an African American street. It was a pretty tough street. They had a lot of they called juke joints, pawn shops, tailor shops, and if you were white, you would not go on that street because it was an African American street, and it was ran by a lot of Jewish merchants. And it was a rough street, and of course nowadays it's a cool street, but it doesn't remind me of the way it was in the 50s because it was a more bluesy street. It is now, but I guess a lot of people think Beale Street's cool today, which it is. But I guess I remember when, so there is a difference.
Well, Charlie Musselwhite, famous harmonica player in the blues, grew up in Memphis as well, and talked about being influenced by Will Shea, the Memphis jug band player, and how rough and tumble Memphis was back when Charlie was a kid, which must have been the 30s and the 40s.
Right. Yeah, he's been a customer of ours for over 50 or 60 years. Every time he comes in the store, he kids me how poor he was, and one day he brought me in an alteration ticket, pickup claim check that he had at his house or in his wallet and stuff, and this ticket was over 50 years old. So I got that framed along with his photo in the store. But Charlie, of course, I think lives out in near San Francisco, out in California, but he's originally from Memphis, and sorry to say, a few years ago, his mother was in her 80s. Got murdered in Memphis. So that's not a high note for our city. But he's great, and we're glad he came from our city. in my opinion, he's probably the greatest, one of the greatest harmonica players ever.
There's no question about that. He's a huge figure in the blues harmonica playing. So Beale Street, you kind of grew up in that neighborhood then, I would imagine, if your dad owned the store right there.
Right. My dad. When we went to school, after school, we had our housekeeper. I guess you call them housekeepers today, but back then, our maid's husband brought us to the store, and we would, after school, 2 or 3 o'clock, and we wouldn't leave till like 9 and 10 at night because my dad said, hey, if there's business on the street, we're going to be open. And we were brought up. I was actually brought up on Beale Street, although we lived a few miles away, but Beale Street was, like I said, African-American street, and I had a lot of friends whose fathers were doctors, attorneys, and I was we were kind of looked down upon because my dad sold clothing to African Americans, and their dads went to law school, medical school, and my dad just sold clothes. So what goes around comes around. Yeah. When my dad died in 2012, his obituary was in the New York Times, and had like 2 or 3 photos of him, told the story about my dad. And his obituary was in probably over 200 papers all over the world. It was even in his obit was even in Saudi Arabia, and of course we're Jewish, so that's amazing they got in there. But yeah, we were kind of looked upon. So nowadays, my dad is known around the world, and probably their dads have been buried and long forgotten.
Well, so in Omaha, the Jewish community had a retail environment on 16th Street, and so you had mentioned kind of the Jewish people having retail outlets on Beale Street,
right?
What was it like growing up? Because we're from the north. Omaha's in the north, and we kind of associate the South with some issues of racism. And was there some ethnicity issues as well? I mean, was it tough to be a Jewish kid growing up in the 50s and 60s in Memphis?
I really didn't see it. I mean, the black community and Jewish community, they were together on a lot of issues, and I didn't feel any anti-Semitism or anything. I know it's out there, but we didn't. I didn't experience any at all. Okay. I mean, maybe I really don't know. I'm sure it's out there, but I can't answer that, Rick, because sure. I didn't really experience any of it.
Good. Well, so you now once again you have a store relatively close to the original location. You have 2 stores that I know of in Memphis, right? The one right off Beale Street, and then of course the one that probably most tourists know is the one in the Peabody Hotel. Right.
Well, we have four stores in the Hotel Peabody. We've been in the Hotel Peabody since 1980-81. Of course, we had other stores throughout the city, but a lot of people don't know. In 1968, a guy was standing on a balcony in Memphis, and he got assassinated. This guy is Martin Luther King. So once he got assassinated, I mean, the whole downtown area of Memphis was like in a downfall. And the Peabody, where we are now, is been closed for 7 years. Of course, the Bells family, a prominent family in Memphis, bought the hotel for $400,000 on the courthouse steps, and of course they had creativity and millions of dollars to get the hotel going back again. But when they reopened it in 1981, that's rejuvenated the whole downtown Memphis. Okay. And our original store on Beale Street a few years ago, we leased it to the Hard Rock Cafe. I would actually say that our space where the Hard Rock is probably the most historic rock and roll Hard Rock Cafe because you have the ghosts of Elvis, Roy Orbison, Johnny Cash, B.B. King, Jerry Lee Lewis, Carl Perkins, Lou Rawls, the Jackson 5. I mean, I can go on, and the people have been in that store, so they really wanted that location. So to seal the deal with the real estate transaction, I told them I would open a store on the side of it. So we're back on Beale again. Okay. So it's a lot of history through that building.
Well, so let's talk about how does Lasky Brothers Clothier to the Kings get connected to the King? Because that's kind of my impression. That's kind of where it all begins. Is that accurate?
Right, Rick. I tell the story in 1952. there's a young kid looking in the window. And my dad, most of your Jewish merchants, they were hustlers. They like to stand out in front of the building. It's like, not with a cane, but he tried to bring them in the store to sell them something. So he saw this little pimply-faced kid. He said, "Come on in, young man. Let me show you around." And this young man timidly looked up. He said, "Mr. Lansky, I don't have any money, but one of these days I'm going to come in and buy you out." And my dad said to this young man, he said, "Young man, don't buy me out. Just buy from me." And that's what started the relationship. This young man turned out to be the future king of rock and roll. So that's how they struck it off. And throughout the years, Elvis would come in all the time. He was working around the corner at the Lowe's Theater. He was an usher. And he'd come in, and when he get paid, he'd buy a pair of pants for $1.95, or a cap for 50 cents, or a shirt for $2. And every week he would come in, and then one day he came in. He said, "Mr. Lansky, I'm going to be on a national TV show." And my dad said, "Well, that's fine, Elvis. That's fine, Elvis. So what show is it going to be?" He said, "The Ed Sullivan Show." So Elvis came in. My dad was showing him something. He said, "Mr. Lansky, I got a problem. He said, "What's your problem, Elvis? What's your problem?" I don't have any money. And my dad said, "Elvis, well, you do have a problem, but I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to give you credit." So my dad gave Elvis credit at a young age. So my dad believed in Elvis, and Elvis was very loyal to anybody that took care of him. And Elvis shopped with us all the way to his death. And of course, I jumped over to the Ed Sullivan Show, but there was a lot more times. His junior, senior prom in the Peabody Hotel where we are now. My dad outfitted him for that. The Louisiana Hayrides, your Tommy Dorsey shows. So my dad was there from the beginning. Matter of fact, across the street, it's torn down now, but there was a building called the M&M Building, Merchants and Manufacturers. That was where the Selective Service was, and when Elvis went into service, my dad walked over there with him when he signed up for the service. So there's a lot of stories, but Elvis had a lot of loyal friends, and he had your back. Another story is, my dad remember when Elvis was so poor. But when Elvis sang, I forgot what record was. RCA Records gave him a car for selling 1 million records. It was a German Messerschmitt, and Elvis brought that car to my dad. Hey, Mr. Lansky, look at this car. He was so proud of his accomplishments that he was proud to show my dad. And my dad said, "Elvis, when you're tired of that car, I want that car." And Elvis said, "Okay," and within 2 weeks later, Elvis traded that car off for a 2.5-hour shopping spree, and you can listen to Elvis talk about a shopping spree. It's on our website, so that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
So how old were you? When Elvis was a young man, you had to be relatively close. 10 years younger, 15 years younger. So can you remember this era when Elvis is in the store and he's becoming fast friends?
Well, I remember, there's some photos I have of our history book. I don't know if you got a copy when you were in the store, but there's a photo of me, a couple photos in early Elvis, probably around 56 and 57. I vaguely remember that time, but in the early 60s, he would come in the store, and I do remember him. And of course, in the later years, early 70s, I was the delivery boy to the king. I used to deliver his merchandise out to the house. At that time, Elvis has gotten so famous, he couldn't come in the store anymore because he'd get mobbed. He was like a fish in a fishbowl. He was trapped. And before that, he used to come in the store. My dad would open up the store for him at midnight. And but later years, 70s and stuff like that, he couldn't leave Graceland because people wanted to tear his shirt off of him. They wanted to talk to him. They wanted his autograph.
Well, let's take a break and listen to some music now. We're going to listen to music from Elvis Presley in a track that Hal had picked earlier called Suspicious Minds. And so we'll hear another track, and be back with more in our interview with Hal Lansky in just a moment.
We're caught in a trap. I can't walk out because I love you too can't you see what you're doing to me? When you don't believe a word I say, we can't go on together with suspicious minds, and we can't build our dreams on suspicious minds. So if an old friend I know comes by to say hello, would I still see suspicion in your eyes? But here we go again, asking where I've been. You can't see the tears I feel I'm crying. We can't go on together with suspicious minds, and we can't build our dreams on suspicious minds. Oh, let our love survive. Oh, dry the tears from your eyes. Let's don't let a good thing die. When, honey, you know I've never lied to you. We can't go on. We can't go on together with suspicious minds, and we can't build our dreams on suspicious minds. We're caught in a trap. I can't walk out because I love you too much, baby. Don't you know why can't you see what you're doing to me? When you don't believe a word I say, don't you know we're caught in a trap? I can't walk out because I love you too much, baby. Yeah.
Well, now that's all right, now, mama. That's all right for you. That's all right, now, mama. Any way you do, but that's all right. That's all right. That's all right, now, mama. Any way you do. Well, my mama, she done told me, Papa told me too. The life you living, son, now women be the death of you, but that's all right. That's all right. That's all right now, mama. Any way you do. Yeah, man. Baby, 1 and 1 is 2. 2 and 2 is 4. I love that woman, but I got to let her go. But that's all right. That's all right. That's me? Why not tell me so? You won't be bothered with me around your house no more. But that's all right. That's all right. That's all right now, Mama. Any way you do. That's all right. That's all right. That's all right now, Mama. Any way you do.
And we're back with more of Pacific Street Blues. Music there from Elvis Presley from his Sun Records Day, a track there entitled That's All Right, Mama. And with me on the telephone today from Memphis, Tennessee is Hal Lansky from the famous, it's world famous, right? Lasky Brothers, Clothier to the Kings.
Well, maybe in our mind it is, but hopefully it is for other people. But yeah, we're known all around the world, and thank you for playing "Suspicious Minds" for me. That was written by Mark James, and Mark has been a customer of ours for many years. He lives in Memphis, he lives in Los Angeles, he lives in Nashville, and he's a great customer. And he's also written songs for I think "Hooked on a Feeling" by B.J. Thomas, which was recorded at the American Studio in Memphis, and also Elvis recorded it at the American Studio also in Memphis.
So it sounds, I mean, you're kind of embedded in the music scene in Memphis, aren't you? I mean, you're a figure. Everybody knows you that's in the music industry down there. Is that a fair?
Yeah, I mean, everybody we hear every day. I want to go to Lansky's because I want to shop where Elvis shopped. I want to walk on the streets that Elvis walked on. I mean, if you're a musician, they come to our store because they just want to soak it all in. Late last year, I became it's probably been longer than that. I became friend with Julia Baird. Do you know who she is, Rick?
No, I don't.
Anyway, that's John Lennon's half sister.
Right.
And we've gotten good friends, and so we went out to dinner one night. And I'm fascinated with the Beatles and asking a question, but she's even more fascinated with Elvis. She said, Hal, and when we grew up, we all we listened to was Elvis Presley songs, and of course, the same famous quote by her brother John Lennon, before Elvis there was nothing. So it was a beautiful evening we had, and hopefully I'll get to go to Liverpool sometime in the near future. But yeah, if you're a musician, like Bruce Springsteen, when he was I think 16 years old, he jumped the gates to go to Graceland. I mean, it's unbelievable. I don't know if you saw our guitar collection in our store. We have a ton of guitars, and they've all been in our stores. But one of our first guitars in 1995 was signed by Tom Petty, and of course. I knew he was coming, so I happened to have a Traveling Wilburys guitar. So he came in, and it was unbelievable. He was wearing a T-shirt of my dad and Elvis on it. So I mean, like, my God, one of my favorite rock stars, Tom Petty, is wearing a T-shirt of my dad. And I said, my dad must be really cool. But they all come in. They all come in to visit us. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I guess we're in the right place. We're in, the Mecca. If you love music, all kinds of music started within miles of where we're talking now. I mean, you got soul music, you got rockabilly music, you got gospel, rock and roll. I mean, it's all from this cradle of the blues. I mean, I don't want to be a name dropper, but Robert Plant. I mean, he's a great customer, and he loves this area. Plant, the Stones. When the British invasion came over, they came over. They wanted to go to to the Delta, the Mississippi Delta, where all your I guess John Lee Hooker, Muddy Waters, Son House, B.B. King. I mean, this is fertile grounds. This is where it all began.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you're a musician, you can pick a style and you can read up about it, and you can feel the vibe in our city.
So growing up with all these famous people and throughout your life, I mean, everybody's practice. I mean, if you've met Mick Jagger and you've met, Elvis Presley, obviously knew very well.
Right.
You've met everyone. Have you ever been starstruck? Have you ever met someone and just kind of,
Yeah, not too much. I mean, at the beginning when I was a younger man, yes. But, people ask me all the time, who'd you meet? Did you meet this guy, this guy? And you know what I tell them? I said, once you met Elvis, once you knew Elvis, it's all downhill from there. So, it was awesome to meet Robert Plant and Jimmy Page and Mick Jagger. And, I mean, they all come through our doors, through our city. I'm thrilled that I'm able to keep the legacy of our company and my dad's what he started going. So hopefully the third generation will keep it going. Hopefully there'll be a fourth generation. You don't know, but I love what I do. I love what I do. We meet people from all over the planet in our store. Elvis is so powerful. It's just unbelievable how many people want to come to our city.
Yeah. Well. So speaking of Elvis, when I was down there, two of the guys I was with bought the Elvis wedding jacket, and I'm kind of looking at it on the rack, and it's a beautiful jacket. But to walk into Graceland then later that day, and there's that jacket on display, I was just it just kind of came. It gave me a different perspective on kind of what you're doing.
Right.
Where you're taking these fashions and you're keeping them alive and keeping them vibrant, but also making them available to future generations of not only fans but guys that go on stage and perform these live. And so, how do you pick, like, I'm going to do Elvis's wedding jacket? How do you pick that process?
Well, you just go for what you think you can do. And the Elvis wedding jacket, May 1st, 1967. He got married to Priscilla. I'll tell a little story about Priscilla in a minute. But last month, May 2017, it's 50 years since that jacket was introduced. And we also have the Jailhouse Rock sweater in our store. And in our store, we got a beautiful photo of Elvis doing this dance, wearing his black and white shoes, wearing the sweater above that Jailhouse Rock sweater. And Rick, a lot of this fashion, what goes around comes around. If it was cool 50 years ago, it's still cool now. We could take that sign down off from the ceiling underneath the Jailhouse Rock sweater, and that sweater without the Elvis connection will be a popular seller because it's classic. It's just a cool sweater. So we try to create a lot of things. We bring back like the Jailhouse Rock sweater. We bring back blue suede shoes. We sell those like crazy. We sell we call it the Hollywood jacket, but in my opinion, it's the most iconic coat Elvis ever wore. It's the white and black striped coat with a black velvet collar. That's the coat he wore in Jailhouse Rock, and of course you'll see him wearing that around a lot, not only in the movie, but Speedway jackets. Your racing jackets. Those things are like. Unbelievable. So people want to wear the fashion because they're cool. They were cool 50 years ago. They're still cool.
Well, I got to say is you probably don't recall because, you do this day in and day out, but I bought the Hollywood jacket.
Okay,
so I'm glad you like it.
You something. You were a tough sell, man. I finally sold you something.
Well,
and you look good in it.
Thank you.
Hey,
well,
Rick, you look better than Elvis wearing that thing. Now.
Flattery will get. Yeah, now I do. Yeah, flattery will get you everywhere. But I just gotta put this in because I know my wife will be listening. But I knew what I wanted when I walked in. But my wife, let's try this, let's try that, let's try this, and you and I had a conversation, which is this is the one I want, and so you kind of steered it towards that, which I thought, here's a good guy, he's a good man. So tell us about Priscilla though. So she gets associated with Elvis in Germany. She's very young, and she comes to Graceland and stays with Elvis. Eventually becomes his wife, and then, as I understand it, she's the executor of the estate after Elvis passed away.
Right. You know, you can say what you want about Priscilla. She's a beautiful lady. She is so nice and kind. But one thing about Priscilla, she is smart as they come. If it wasn't for Priscilla, Elvis Presley, I don't think his legacy would be anywhere close to what it is today. She is so smart. She kept it going. She reopened Graceland, I think, in 1980 or 1981. The lady is a fabulous businesswoman. She is awesome. But if it wasn't for her keeping the legacy going, Memphis would be a different town. We wouldn't have the tourist business we have today. Elvis, although he's been dead, in August we're going to be celebrating the 40th anniversary of his death, and believe it or not, Elvis is an industry. He employs a lot of people. All over America, all over. But quick story about Priscilla is every time we see her, we had a meeting with her many years ago, and she leased out our original store, 126 Beale Street. She wanted Elvis Presley's Memphis. It was the first Elvis Presley's nightclub to come and exist, and of course they had plans for a chain of them. Of course, it never happened. But in one of those meetings, we were sitting there with her, my mom, and my dad. And my dad was kidding her because when she first came to Memphis, when she's 14, she had a driver take her down to our store, and the driver brought her in, and she picked out a leather coat for Elvis's Christmas present. And she put $3 down as a layaway payment. So, you can talk about rags to riches all you want, but when she came over here, she was probably on some type of allowance. But today she could buy anything she wants many times over. But she's a smart lady.
So when you do the Elvis line, do you have to negotiate with the estate to, I would imagine, use his name and image and likenesses, or? We do. And of course, we have our own name. Clothing. Our official name is Lasky Brothers, but we have the moniker or the trademark "Clother to the King." So we use that a lot. And of course, a lot of people say "Clother the King." There's only one king, the King of Rock and Roll. So we own the trademarks for "Clother to the King." Now, so one of the things that's interesting about Beale Street is every time, or not Beale Street, but Memphis is kind of almost every time you turn a corner downstairs, you see a landmark site. And just down the road from your shops in the Peabody is the radio station where I believe B.B. King began.
Well, B.B. King and Johnny Cash started there too, Rick. Okay. It's WOK was the urban radio. Is hang on just a second. WHBQ. No, hang on a second. Man, I'm having a brain freeze here. But anyway, it was. It's been a lot of stations since then.
Okay.
But B.B. King stayed there. When B.B. King was there, it was WDIA.
Okay.
But before B.B. King, I think there was another name. Whatever. But Johnny Cash was there, I think, before B.B. King.
Okay. So I heard a great story. I'd love to have you tell it about how when Johnny Cash, before he's well known, he's supposed to open for Elvis at the Levitt Shell, and he came to the store to buy some clothes, and something to the effect of, "I'll buy black clothes."
Well, I'll tell you a couple stories about Johnny Cash. Of course, okay. Johnny and Johnny Cash and Elvis and all of them, they hung out together. Of course, on Beale Street. Beale Street, they were drawn to Beale Street because it was a colorful street. Had a good karma to it, but. One day, Johnny Cash came into the store. He said, Mr. Lansky, I want an outfit just like this man was wearing. So Johnny showed my dad a Prince Albert tobacco can. I don't know if you're familiar with a Prince Albert tobacco can.
Yes.
But you got this English fellow on it wearing a black cutaway suit, and he said, Mr. Lansky, I want a suit just like this. I want to be looking like this guy. So my dad said, Johnny, hang on a second. So at that time we had tuxedo rentals upstairs on the second floor. So my dad went up there and he found this. It was kind of like a stroller coat or a morning coat. If you go to really formal parties and stuff, you wear these coats and stuff. So he brought it down and he said, Johnny, what do you think about this? He said, Mr. Lansky, this is exactly what I'm looking for. So in a roundabout way, we like to take credit for the man in black. But but Johnny shot with us. Johnny Cash's wife shot with us. June Carter Cash. She loved to wear men's button-down Oxford cloth dress shirts. So anyway, if you are on YouTube and you look up Johnny Cash's rock and roll Hall of Fame acceptance speech, I think about the 4-minute and 20 mark. I could be wrong, but somewhere in the 4-minute mark, Johnny Cash gives us a shout-out during his speech about Lasky Brothers on famous Beale Street, where they had all those shiny clothes at. So that's pretty cool. He talked to us when he was accepting his Rock and Roll Hall of Fame award. That's
got to be very, very neat. You know, the man in black.
Right.
So let's hear some music here. We're going to play a track from Johnny Cash called "The Man in Black," and then also "The Thrill Is Gone" from the great B.B. King. Music for you right here, right now on Pacific Street Blues.
Well, you wonder why I always dress in black, why you never see bright colors on my back, and why does my appearance seem to have a somber tone? Well, there's a reason for the things that I have on. I wear the black for the poor and the beaten down, living in the hopeless, hungry side of town. I wear it for the prisoner who has long paid for his crime, but is there because he's a victim of the time. I wear the black for those who've never read or listened to the words that Jesus said about the road to happiness through love and charity. Why, you think he's talking straight to you and me? Well, we're doing mighty fine, I do suppose, in our streak of lightning cars and fancy clothes. But just so we're reminded of the ones who are held back, up front there ought to be a man in black. I wear it for the sick and lonely old, for the reckless ones whose bad trip left them cold. I wear the black in mourning for the lives that could have been. Each week we lose 100 fine young men. And I wear it for the thousands who have died, believing that the Lord was on their side. I wear it for another 100,000 who have died, believing that we all were on their side. Well, there's things that never will be right, I know, and things need changing everywhere you go. But till we start to make a move to make a few things right, you'll never see me wear a suit of white. Oh, I'd love to wear a rainbow every day and tell the world that everything's okay. But I'll try to carry off a little darkness on my back till things are brighter. I'm the man in black.
And we're back with more of Pacific Street Blues. With me on the telephone is the legendary Hal Lansky from the Lasky Brothers Clothing Store down in Memphis, Tennessee. This is a guy that grew up in the middle of rock and roll. He knows everyone out of Memphis, and anybody that pays attention closely to the music industry knows that Memphis is the heart of the American music sound. And so kind of talking a little bit about the history of Memphis. Of course, one of the most famous, and there's quite a few famous recording studios in Memphis or record labels, but one of the most famous is Sun Records. And, of course, founded by Sam Phillips in an old car garage or mechanic shop, as I understand from the tour. And so what was it like growing up? You know, Elvis is on Sun Records, Charlie Rich, Roy Orbison. Are all these guys coming through the store?
Yes, Rick. All of them came through. Charlie Rich. As a matter of fact, his son was in the store not too long ago, and he reissued a new album, Charlie Rich, and it plays all his songs that his dad made famous. But yeah, all of them were in there. Sonny Burgess. The list just goes on and on. But yeah, they all shopped with us.
So did you feel, you know? So from the outside world, of course, they're making history. They're a huge influence on the way that the entire Western world looks at music. But in Memphis, that's just Charlie. I mean, were you guys like aware of how influential Sun Records was at the time when it was putting these records out?
You know, Rick, there's a saying, I don't know if it's a Greek saying or a Greek mythology or whatever you call it. A man has no valor in his own country. You know, that goes to everybody. You know, nobody knew really what they were doing. It was just an era back there. Everybody was just doing their thing, and you know, of course, like I told you about my dad, you know, we all paid our dues. You know, B.B. King, you know, all of them. After you do it year in and year out, you get credit for what you've done. But back then in the 60s and 50s and 60s, it wasn't. Nobody really knew what anybody was doing. I guess it just finally took hold, and people going crazy about them. Of course, I'm talking, you know, last 20, 25 years. So when it was going on, it was just another day in the neighborhood.
Well, one of my favorite kind of Booker T and the MG stories is, of course, the guys from Stax Records go to tour Europe, and they land in London. And the way Steve Cropper tells the story, of course, in Booker T and the MGs, is they had no idea that Europe was fawning over them so much. And so they get off the plane, and there's limousines that the Beatles, of all people, had sent for them to go from the airport to their hotel. And the way Steve Cropper tells it is, you know, they're holed up in the studio, and they're making records day in and day out, and they go to England, and it's like Beatlemania. And he's you know, kind of talks about how he just couldn't reconcile. Like, what are these people all excited about?
I guess it was the Memphis music, yeah. You know, Steve Cropper, Booker T and the MGs, Steve's sons worked for us in the store, but they all shopped with us. Al Jackson, you know, they call him the human heartbeat or whatever. He was awesome. You know, they were all in our store. You know, they had the gig. My dad fixed them up, and yeah, they all came through the store. They all shopped with us.
So when they're coming through the store, and I don't know, I guess I'm kind of asking the same question again. I apologize, but you know, it just has to be overwhelming or impressive that on the one hand, you know, here's your buddy, you know, Isaac Hayes, or a guy that you know, a customer, and then you go get in your car, and there he is on the radio, or there's the music that he wrote is being played on the radio, and I don't know. It's astonishing that so much talent ends up in one city at the same time. It's kind of amazing when even today when you hear them on the radio and you think, God, they came from Memphis. But back then it was they were just regular guys. You mentioned Isaac Hayes, the songwriting team of Hayes and David Porter. You know, they both were poor. A quick Isaac Hayes story is when he first met my dad. My dad tells the story. He came in, and he was so poor, his shoes are tied together with wire. That's how poor he was. And then here again, just like Elvis, when like I told you the story about Elvis when he got
got the car for selling 1 million records, million records for RCA. Isaac Hayes did the same thing. He won an Oscar for in 1972 for the theme song Shaft. It was unbelievable. He came in. He got, in the 70s, everybody thought they were pimps, and he had the pimp mobile. He came in, showed my dad. He was so proud of that car. He was inside the store, turning the car on and off from inside the store, and he was so proud. He even had a refrigerator in the back seat, and that car now is at the Stax Museum. But all those guys were just so glad that they made it. They shared their success with my dad. But in the 70s, it's a decade of fashion we weren't too proud of. Everybody thought they were pimps. You had the Shaft movie. You had the black exploitation movies. Yeah. All the Private Eyes and Curtis Mayfield in the 70s. Everybody thought they were pimps standing out on the corners. We were probably the only men's store in America that had a full-time furrier putting mink collars and mink hats, trimmed up the hats for our customers. And like I said, it's we sold those high-heel shoes. I'll tell you a quick story. In the 70s, I was waiting on a customer, and this is the same era, and this guy goes over to the shoe department. He says, I want those shoes. I want to try them on. So we tried them on. These were, what you call Miami. They were called Miami Stompers back then, Rick. They were really tall. Mm-hmm. So he said, I'll take these. And he said, I want a leather jacket. So he went over there and he tried on a leather jacket, and then he turned around. Oh my God! He put a gun on me. So the guy started running out the store. My mom said, "Stop him! Stop him!" I said, "No." I said, "Let him go. He's got a gun." And I said, "Call the police. Tell him he's wearing 10-inch high shoes and wearing an orange leather coat." And they called him a couple blocks away because he's wearing that. He couldn't run in those high heel shoes, and he had an orange coat on.
Wow.
But that was like I said, that's a decade of fashion we weren't too happy of.
Well, you've got. Tell us about the Elvis coat from that period hanging on the wall with the collar.
Yeah. Well, here again. He brought that coat back, and of course he never picked it up. But he split the back of it. But that coat is probably one of 8. He had a lot of different colors. If Elvis liked something, he would buy it in every color. He'd buy 2 or 3 different ones for his buddies, or if somebody was shopping in a store, hey Elvis, I like that. He would buy something for him. But another quick story. One day I went out to the mansion, and this is like 70s, so I was probably I was early 20s, maybe late teens, but early 20s. I was driving, so I took a car full of stuff out to him, and so I pulled up, and of course, when you're a kid and you're going over to Elvis's house by yourself, you kind of say, "Whoa, my God, this is unbelievable!" So I got to the front door, and it seemed like the door just opened up magically by itself, and then all of a sudden I walked in the hallway of the house, the lobby at the bottom of the steps. The next thing I knew, oh my God, it was Elvis walking down the steps. He was wearing a beautiful bathrobe, and he had his hand in his pocket, like he had a gun in his pocket, and so every step he took down the steps is like eternity. Like watching one of these movies. I thought it took him about 2 hours to get down the steps. So he got down the steps, and he was so happy to see me. He was like a kid on Christmas. He started putting on those pimp hats and putting on those long coats, and if you're familiar with Graceland, when you walk in the front foyer, to the left is the dining room. So he put his stuff on, and he walked in the dining room, and then he swung open the doors to the kitchen, and he said, "Hey, look at me! And Rick, if I tell you the rest of the story, I'll have to kill you."
You can't stop there.
Yeah, but I can't. It's an off-color.
Okay.
Color of saints. I don't want to say it, but he was wild. He loved those clothes.
So you were impressed by Elvis, even though you kind of grew up with him in your sphere of influence.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was Elvis. Back then when I was really delivering to him, or in later years, I mean, he was, this is the '70s. I mean, he's already had his '68 comeback concert, and he was back on a roll again.
Yeah. Wow. So let's talk a little bit more about Sun Records. That's where I was supposed to take you, but I kind of got sidetracked by all these other stories. But you've got then Jerry Lee Lewis and Carl Perkins and B.B. King recorded on Sun,
right,
Rufus
right.
Thomas, and so what did you ever meet Sam Phillips?
I did, and matter of fact, I'm good friends with his two sons, Knox and Jerry. They're awesome people, and his Jerry Knox's daughter is Haley's also in the business too. So her and my daughter kind of can relate because they both had famous grandfathers.
Okay.
Yeah. So no, I know him well, and I didn't know Sam real well, but the sons, more my contemporaries.
Okay, and so did you? What was in your high school era? Because in my mind, I'm kind of imagining you might be close in age to Booker T. Jones and those guys.
No, they're older than I am.
Oh, okay. So,
I know they're older than I am. But in my generation, although we if you're from Memphis, you love Elvis and the Stax music and the Sun Records music and the Royal Studio, where a lot of Al Green hits came from. But we had the British invasion coming in the '60s. So that was there was a lot of music going on about that time.
Okay, and were the kids in Memphis when you were growing up, like in the high school period, were they more interested in the Beatles and the Stones, or were they kind of aware of the Stax Records, what was going on over there on, what is it, what street is that, Macklemore?
Macklemore, right,
Yeah.
Macklemore, yes.
I mean, were they aware of, the Beatles are loving the music coming out of Stax Records as much as the kids were loving the Beatles, or?
In my generation, I hate to say we were Stones and Beatles fans, but we knew what was coming out. We had a lot of garage bands in our city, so it was a lot of good music coming out of Memphis, and then nationally with the Beatles and the Stones and Dave Clark Five.
Yeah. Yep. So you get it. Okay. So Jerry Lee Lewis, the Killer, as they say, of course, he's got two famous cousins, right? Jimmy Swaggart and Mickey Gilley.
Right.
And Jerry Lee Lewis, they're all cousins. So, were they in Memphis at that time then too, as well, or?
I don't remember his cousins, but Jerry Lee was a kind of a rogue guy, and Jerry Lee he's the last man standing, Rick. He's still seen around town. He still has a club on Beale Street. Sometimes he'll play there, but Jerry Lee was a rogue. He did come to our stores and shopped, but I guess he was kind of under the influence of Elvis. He never could get out from the influence of Elvis had. That Elvis was number one and he was number two, trying to be number one.
Right.
I mean, you always hear the famous stories of Jerry Lee trying to crash the gates at Graceland, to get at Elvis. So but Jerry Lee, they all came out of Memphis, and we used to go to clubs and he'd play there, and we still see him around. He still has concerts in the area.
Okay. Well, let's hear some music. These are two people famous for being on the Sun record label. Jerry Lee Lewis, Whole Lot of Shaking Going On. Of course, everybody's going to know that track. And then Rufus Thomas and his track Walking the Dog, which, of course, is going to be later covered by the Rolling Stones and then Aerosmith, which is interesting. So music from Jerry Lee Lewis and Rufus Thomas for you right here on Pacific Street Blues.
Baby, whole lot of shaking going on. I mean, you come on over, honey, my God, it really can't be that wrong. I ain't thinking, whole lot of shaking going on. I said, come on over, baby, we got chicken in the bone. Woo, honey, Jerry Lee Lewis got the bull by the horn. I never did fake, I like to hang it in all night long. Well, I did shake it, baby, shake it. Shake it, baby, shake it. Shake it, baby, shake it. Come on over, a lot of shaking going on. We got chicken in the barn. Who's born? What born? I'm born. Every lead got the bull by the horn. Never did fake. I love to hang it in all night long. Easy, baby. Easy, honey. All you gotta do is just stand it in one little spot. I love to watch you wiggle it around just a little bit, baby. That's when you got something. You ain't got something, but then you might as well just hang it up. 'Cause I know from the past, you ain't gonna get nothing, you ain't gonna get it but then, baby. Woo! Hey! Shake it, baby, shake it. Shake it, baby, shake it. Shake it, don't you break it, rub it up and I will take it. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Shake it, baby, shake it. Shake it, baby, shake it. Woo, shake it, baby, shake it. Let's shake it, baby, shake it. Come on, come on, come on.
You got silver bells and you got cockle shells. Pretty maids all in a row, walking the dog.